Okay, everyone, thanks for coming along. It's been an interesting day so far. My name is Mark Garrett, and I am from Furtherfield.org, and we work with art, technology, and social change. And we have a specific interest in collaborating with and festival people who are a very good crew. So my job here is to moderate a panel this afternoon of some really interesting people. And it investigates virtual surveillance practices by focusing on a reverse engineering process that would explore the possibilities of using analysis methods of intelligence agencies and private corporations. So our online presence and activity is producing a big amount of traces and data which might be collected and analysed to acquire information on our behaviours, interests, relationships, and in general, a concrete picture of our everyday life. So this panel that we're going to be having this afternoon focuses on various projects that contribute for a better understanding of automated surveillance, online tracking, and metadata analysis. So we've got Vladan Joler, Joanna Mole, Carmen Weiskopf, and who's the other one? Richard Tynan, who just come in. And I think we're just going to start with Vladan Joler first. And so I'm going to be introducing everyone as they come along. It's like a small bio, but I just want to keep it as fluid as possible and have all the questions at the end for 20 minutes. So get your pads out and make some notes, and we'll start with you.
Okay, so my name is Vladan. I'm coming from Serbia. I'm director of one organization that is called Share Foundation. Basically what we are doing, and more precisely one part of the organization called Share Lab, we really like to do data investigations. So what we are doing, we are collecting a lot of different data and then trying to, in most of the cases, analyze and visualize this data. And the most favorite topic is basically to track the trackers. So we will, I will jump a few things. This presentation is going to be some kind of data epilepsy. So for those people who are sensitive on like seeing a lot of data, please leave the room. So this is the one of the first investigation that we did. So we investigated different cookies that are embedded in websites that we are visiting. So here on the left side, you can see different websites. In the middle are different cookies, and on the right side are the companies who are basically owning all of these cookies and collecting information about us. And so as you can see, the first one, the biggest one that they isolated here, it's Google, and then Facebook, and some other companies. This allowed us to create some kind of maps of how, for example, Google is collecting different kind of data by using different cookies that are embedded on the websites. Basically, what is really scary is that showing us that in 90% of the websites that we analyze, there is some form of Google cookies. So even if you don't use Google, they are in 90% of the time having information about you visiting some website. Then we analyze Facebook, and it doesn't look so dramatic, but it's still dramatic. It's around 50% of the websites that have different cookies embedded from Facebook. So here we are speaking basically about surveillance economy. And what is really scary is that for all of those biggest companies on internet, surveillance economy is the main economy and main business models that they have. So if we are speaking about these billions and billions and billions of dollars that they are earning, all of this money is coming from surveillance economy, and logic is collect the amount of data that you can, analyze this data, create the profile, and sell this profile to the third parties. But this is just the beginning of the story, because our browsing habits are just one little part of the story. The biggest part of the story is what happened with the mobile phones. So then we said, okay, let's try to, and this visualization, this panopticon look like structure is basically all the different permissions that you're giving to different applications by using your mobile phone. And for example, Facebook, they are allowed, you're giving them permission to collect location data, precise location based on GPS, then SMS, they're able to read your text messages, they're able to write and read call logs, they're able to take pictures, record audio, and do like a lot of different things. And if we are speaking about surveillance economy, this is where the funky data is coming from, because it's not just your IP address, your location, what do you visit or not. This is like more diverse and more vivid types of data that they are able to access. And then in our third investigation, we investigated what is the role of the government in all of this process. So this is one research that we did in Serbia, and it's based on some 2,000 pages of documents provided by Commissioner. Yay, thank you. And so we analyzed how they're collecting metadata in collaboration with the mobile service providers. So, but I will not go into detail, and you probably know a lot about these kind of things. So basically, we saw that like different, so companies are collecting data, government is collecting data, all of them really like to know a lot about you, but we really didn't know and understand what they can basically do with all of that data. So in one moment, there was something really nice going on. So there was a leak of Hacking Team emails. Hacking Team is one really dark organization, company, and they're basically earning around, I think, 40 million euros by selling surveillance tools to different governments and different secret services around the world. And these tools allowed governments to spy on you, basically to intercept your communication, to read your emails, to follow what you are saying on Facebook, Messenger, Skype, and so on, so on. And in July 2015, there was a big leak of all of their emails. So there was some kind of 400 gigabytes of just emails. On the other side, we had another leak, even more famous and bigger one. It's a Snowden leak. So we had like some form of information what, for example, NSA is doing with all of this metadata. So Snowden leaks gave us some insight. So we said, okay, we have like those two things. What we are going to do, we are going to use some of the methodologies that NSA is doing, for example, but we are going to apply this methodology to Hacking Team data. So it's some kind of reverse engineering of the process, and the only difference is that we are using the same methodology to spy on the bad guys. And the story, I will try to be fast, the story is going, every email have this content and have a header. In header, you have like really simple information that is saying who is sending email to who, the data, the time and the date of the email, and some IP addresses. So we took all of this and put into one big database. Really simple, but big one. And this is where our investigations start to be like exciting. So first thing what we did, we tried to do like a social network analysis. And by doing social network analysis, you get some kind of really nice graph that can be really sexy for showing, but basically it's still messy. But then if you zoom this map, you are able to track like a contact between different people, who is sending email to who, and so on. But then what we basically start to do is to play with this data, and then we filter this this social graph, so we get like just most important nodes. So now we are able to track who are the main players in the game. But then we took like this same data and put in another way. So here, in some form of the heat map, you are able to see who is, for example, communicating with who. So you have, for example, this guy there is communicating with this person, this guy with that person. You can see that this guy, David Vincenzetti, he is the main guy, and he is like communicating with all of them. And then if you translate this kind of visualization in another way, you are able to get information about like structure of this organization. So you have the main guy up, so he's communicating with all of these people, so on, so. Now we see this organization was completely dark for us, and we didn't know anything about them, but now we have complete organizational structure just by reading their metadata. And then if we add the time component, we were able to track all of them individually in time. Then what was even more interesting for us, we were able to track their external contacts. So there was like 4,000 different people communicating with them. We were able to see who are the main guys with who they are communicating. Then we compare all of this with the people from organizations. So here are the hacking team members. Those are external contacts. So we were able to see, again, what are the connections. So we are going deeper and deeper in understanding what they are really doing. And then by analyzing like just domain names, we were able to see, to have some kind of map of this like really dark scene. So for example, the gray ones are other security companies, the black ones are state agency, the gray ones are some kind of financial sector. So we are getting insight into the whole scene of this surveillance economy. And then if we go even more deeper, we are able to analyze every individual company there. So for example, this is company nice.com, and every color, it's another person. So we are seeing that this hacking team is exchanging emails with 10 different people from organizations. So we see that they are like linked together. And what is really interesting, then we investigated more this company nice.com. So we get a picture that they are basically selling the same surveillance technology, but not to governments, but to private sectors. So what they are doing, they are selling to companies who are surveilling their own workers. And, but things are starting to get even more like unethical when we start to follow individuals. Okay, so we choose the main guy, and we said, okay, what we can learn just by reading the metadata of his email. So this is David's, the guy, it's David. This is his like some kind of pattern. So he's waking up really early, sending a lot of emails, that he's probably having some pause, going to do some jogging or whatever, then going on the job, that his working peak is around 12, then going for a lunch, so on, so on. And so we are able now to understand if someone is showing me this pattern, I will say, oh, this is David, you know. But by analyzing, like, but this is in blue, you don't see a lot, but this is what you get when you are analyzing the sent emails from David. But when you are analyzing received emails, you are getting how his surrounding is functioning, basically what are their patterns of communication. Then we can track David during the week, what he's doing during the week, what he's doing during the month. So you can see that he is probably on Sundays, always have a lunch with someone around 12, not reading emails, then so on, so on. And basically every kind of drop and every kind of up, it's some kind of anomaly. So that means something. Or he's sick, or he is depressed, or he is in love, or he is something. But when he changed his pattern, there is something going on with David. And then when we analyze this mess, so we can see some kind of patterns, but we can also see some spikes. Spikes, I don't know. So that's like the dates when something happened to David. And this is my favorite one. This is, again, just sent emails. And for example, here you can see, okay, it's not a good projection, but you can see that this pattern is somehow different than others. It's somehow moved on one side, okay? And here you can see that, well, okay, this pattern there, it's moved on another side. And what is this? So this is like some empty space, an empty space here. This is the moment when David went to Singapore. And basically, this is when he's traveling, and this is, he changed the time zone. And so we were able, just based on this, to understand that something is happening to David. Here we have another little mess. And this is the moment when Citizen Lab published the paper on hacking team. So you can see like, you know, something is happening to David. So, and it's really spooky. I spent like few weeks doing this, so I was like trying to find the ways how to read these patterns and what those patterns really mean. And then there is a lot of information in subjects. You know, like for example, when Amazon is sending to you, when you buy something, in subject line, it's always written, what did you order? So we were able to track all what people from hacking team ordered. So it's from the books. So for example, they bought American Sniper DVD or like some kind of BlackBerry, whatever, batteria. So we were able to understand what they're buying. And then another stupid thing that they're doing, they have one traveling agency. So basically, when the traveling agency is booking them flights, in subject of the email, you have a name and you have a destination. So we were able to map all the destination that they went. So we have a list of frequent flyers from hacking team. And then we were able to track individual people from hacking team who is covering which part of the world and who is responsible for which market. And so by combining all of this together, we were able to understand the places where they're meeting. So that means we were able to understand that, for example, if they're meeting all of them, like 5 of them in Mexico, that means a lot, you know, so on. So this story is starting to be really weird. And then the holy grail of all of this, of course, IP addresses. We were able on based on like IP addresses of the sender to have information about every person who ever sent them an email from where this person sent them an email. So we were able to track 4,000 people, their locations, and so on, so on. And it can go like on the level of countries, but also it can go on the level of the city. So for example, this is just a London. So we were able to track all of these dark people from surveillance industry, from where they're sending to them an emails. And all of this is done just by analyzing stupid metadata from emails. We are not speaking about metadata from like a Google search. We are not speaking data from Facebook that you are in millions of other data like providing. This is just from the emails. So the scary thing, who have access to this kind of data, for example, if you're using Google probably have access to metadata. If other governments can somehow, if you don't know how to deal with, if you don't have digital hygiene, government can also have like access to your metadata. What is really scary is that all of this is happening in real time. So, for example, this what I did for like few weeks. Agencies are able to do it in real time and just to say to algorithm like, if David start to behave strange, give me a note. If David go from home, give me a note. If David whatever, just let me know. And what is also scary is this, that based on this analysis, you can do also like predicting of future behavior that is leading us to some kind of pre-crime, pre-cogs, whatever scenario. And for the end, I'm finishing this talk, but for the end, this is something that we are working on now. And this is our new investigation. It's basically about Facebook algorithmic factory. It's how Facebook is collecting your data, how Facebook is then storing your information, and how Facebook is then algorithmically transforming those information into the products. So for example, for data collection, we were reading all the privacy policy of Facebook and then analyzing different inputs. So here for this middle part of how they're dealing with this data, we find out that there is like a database of 8,000 Facebook patents. So we were reading those patents and trying to understand what each of algorithm is doing. And that's compared to what I show you about metadata, that's like 7 times more crazy and sexy, and it involves like mixing different kind of inputs, what you are doing, and but I think this talk is for some next time. Okay. Thank you.
Think about this.